What's going on, guys? Wolfsbeck here. I got the man, the myth, the legend. He's not a myth. Everyone knows who he is. Who do we have here? We got Ron Bergenholtz. And we're missing somebody else.
Oh,
Your
my brother
Ed Bergenholtz.
He actually has an EV too. He has a Mazda 3. He has a Tesla Model 3 that he's fixing up too.
It's the future now. Everyone's got a Tesla.
The future is here.
The future's here. It is what it is. It's real quiet here, which is kind of scary because you can't get run over, right?
Oh man!
So what do you got here? What do you got here, Ron?
Basically, we're here at the inaugural Holley High Voltage experience, and Turnkey Industries / Napoleon Motorsports brought out the first Pro 1 electric drift car. You guys probably saw it on Jay Leno's show, that sort of thing, and it's basically running 400 plus volts with a Tesla rear power drive unit. It's making right around 500 horsepower at 1 RPM. That's the difference, right? Oh, and, you know, it did okay in Pro 1, but obviously when you're in, your competitors have 1,100 horsepower and 1,100 pounds of torque, we had to go back to the drawing board. And obviously, AEM EV has had it this whole time, doing R&D, getting it better, having more control, having more data logging to see what it's doing. So they took our initial foundation with this vision of this vehicle and took it a step further, right? Nice. But it's an ongoing process, and this is basically it. Carbon fiber everything from Anderson Concepts.
I love the livery. Livery, beautiful.
Yeah, America, right?
That's right.
And then Nitto tires, of course.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's just an overly visionary concept. There's a vision, obviously, to take it a step further, but right now, just like back in import racing, right? You couldn't buy a turbo kit. You couldn't buy this, right? And so, same thing with this event, right? Back in the Palmdale days, right. Battle the imports. They didn't make stuff. You had to come up with it. So, same thing with the Holley event and these type of cars in electric. You can't call up Holley and buy certain parts. I mean, Holley's coming up with their own. AEM EVs came up with parts, and some of their parts are in here as well, right? And so these are the beginning phases of a new type of way to race.
Absolutely.
That's what's great, right?
Absolutely.
And so parts are coming, you know. Well, we're gonna build a turbo kit for a Honda? What? So in the same sense, we got to build a electric motor management system for it. AEM EVs come up with it. Now the biggest thing is batteries and everything. So it's quite exciting, you know, doing something new. Just like with, you're gonna race a 4-cylinder with the tires in the front. You know, you're gonna build a race car that doesn't make any noise. So now, you know, I'm older.
Shift.
Yeah,
it's a paradigm
yeah.
shift.
Now I'm older.
Yeah. And
now I'm feeling young again on this new arena.
That's right.
So
with that said, for the average Joe, obviously you guys experienced a lot of trials and tribulations.
Oh my God!
What would you give the advice to our viewers?
Well,
granted, it takes a lot of money. It's the early stages of racing of EVs, but besides the money, besides the resources, there's always that mental.
Well, here's the biggest thing, right? It's one thing when we were younger, right? We like the sound of motors. We like to go fast, right? And we want to do things that nobody's doing. Oh, you're gonna race that car with the tires in the front and a little 4-cylinder? So you break the mold, right? Yes. Usually for racing, V8, rear-wheel drive, right? This is the same thing, right? If you want to do something different, right? You know, this is where it's gonna go, right?
Absolutely.
And especially here in California, right? With carb regulation and all these spot-up smog things on the street, you know, I guess in California you can't do exhaust and things like that. This is the next greatest thing, to have fun with performance, and mind you, with electricity, right? It's better than a V8, instantaneous torque, right? And so as
You gotta
an
emphasize that. It is the instantaneous torque.
better than a V8, right? So with this in mind, for all the people who are enthusiasts and that want to do something different, right? It's fun. And you might want to think, some people will be a little stubborn and go, no, that's not going to happen. The moment you drive
Yes.
an electric vehicle, a performance one at that, right? It'll be the greatest exhilaration. Of course, you're missing the noise factor with the engine, but the moment you experience and see an electric performance vehicle run, you're just going to go, wow.
You'll be convinced, right?
Yeah, you'll be convinced. But the moment, of course, with anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing fun or worth doing comes without a little pain of doing it, right?
Absolutely.
But I'll tell you this much. When we built this car, when we finally got it running, we're like, whoa, dude. What? And
that
mind you,
excitement came back, right?
I'm 30 years of internal combustion engines,
Yes.
right? But when we got this thing first done at 3:30 in the morning, right? We're like, this is effing cool.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, but what I would recommend for all those enthusiasts that are wanting, no, I'm not going to do it. The moment you do it, the moment you drive it, you're just like, wow.
This is cool.
But same thing as our era with 4 cylinders and putting the drag tires in the front, doing something different, doing something that nobody's done. And the moment you do it now, the moment you built something like this,
yes.
right? Not many people have this. Not many people have this. And the experience, and mind you, I've been driving internal combustion motors for 30 plus years. When I drove this, I was just like, it felt like it wanted to rip out of you.
It's the instantaneous torque, right?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So here it is, guys.
Just little by little, AEM EV is one of the start. Holley EV is the start. And it's only a matter of trickle-down effect. And then on top of that, this is where it's going. Ford is building nothing but electric motors. Volkswagen said they're never going to build an internal combustion motor ever again. Mercedes-Benz said they'll never build an internal combustion motor again. GM changed their logo after 100 years. Their logo for electricity. So this is where it's going. This is where, I'm not young anymore, but this is where the youth is going, and it's inevitable. And what Holley did here, the inaugural first of its kind, is going to be great. But try it. You'll like it.
You got to try it.
Everybody's doing it. Don't be
It's a cool thing to do. It's a cool thing to do.
It's a cool thing to do.
So we just bought a Model 3.
Oh, nice.
So I'm convinced. I'm totally convinced. I'm a diesel import, I'm into the internal combustion thing to the max. I drove it's not my car, it's my wife's car, full disclosure. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm convinced, 100%.
And it's like, whoa, I just hear the tires moving.
Yeah.
Dude, you wouldn't believe, now mind you, 30 years plus, I'm screwing around with pistons, rods, turbos, gasoline, all that. And we're in the shop with this thing, and we're like, why batteries? What?
What's going
Inverter? And I'm like, what are we working on? But after all that hard work, and on top of that, not finding parts, they don't have anything, but this is the beginning.
Yeah.
And Holley and AEM EV are creating the market, just like our Honda days. We're like, hey, where can we buy engine management? Well, we can make this work.
Yeah, we can cheat the computers.
What's this turbo for? Oh, it's for a V8. All right, we only need one of them. So, but it's fun. The main thing is it's fun and different, and learning is everything.
That's right.
Yep.
All right, Ron Bergenholtz, thank you so much.
You're welcome, buddy.
All right, so there you have it, guys. You heard it from the legend himself, and his other half. He's a proxy for Ed Bergenholtz. Got to throw him in there too, guys. It's the future now. There's a big paradigm shift. We're all used to hearing two-step internal combustion engines running. All that.
It's the future.
It's the future. Give it a shot.
And let me end it like this.
All right, what's up, man? What's in it? And why?
All right, so what we have here is a 1986 Chevy C10 pickup truck, and it is EV swapped. It has 2 Tesla Model S large drive units. So it's an all-wheel drive vehicle, and we're utilizing a full Model 3 battery pack, unopened, using the BMS system, onboard charger, DC to DC charger, all factory Tesla stuff. It's got a full factory Model S subframe in the back, and in the front we're using a Corvette C6 subframe, and yeah, that's the main part of the drivetrain.
So, where did this like idea first come out of?
The idea came to build just a wild truck. Yeah, so it just came as just an idea to grab attention and make something real cool that stuck out. We wanted to bring it out to SEMA and show everybody what the shop is capable of, and that's what we did. And Holley invited us out here to the EV Fest to show it off.
So, what were some of the like issues that you ran into this car, if any at all?
Issues. It's definitely a lot of hard work. I'd say the fenders, a lot of hours, man hours went into making the fenders, making the molds. So we started digitally scanning the truck to get a 3D image of the truck, and then built the fenders in CAD. And from there we had to print molds. We made molds, and then we had to lay them with fiberglass and carbon. I mean, it took 4 or 5 weeks. Man hours, that was probably the hardest. So I'd say 5 or 6 guys worked on them for like 4 weeks.
So, what are actually the numbers on this? Do you know like top speed, the kind of horsepower that it's making?
So this vehicle was just freshly built right before we came out to SEMA. So maybe 3.5 weeks now we've had the vehicle complete. I wouldn't even say complete, it's almost there. The rear drive unit is working. The front one, it had a little bit of a problem, so it's not functional. And we haven't dynoed it or anything. We haven't weighed it yet either, so we're not sure of the weight. But it's quick. Probably standard numbers from the Model S units. So we're hoping to get somewhere like in the 490 horsepower out of each of the motors. So combined, we're hoping to get almost to the 900 wheel horsepower mark, front and rear, and somewhere in the 1,200-1,300 foot-pounds. So all total when it's completed.
All right, man. This thing's badass. Thank you so much for it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming by and showing love, man.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate it.
First of all, it's a pleasure to meet you, BC.
Likewise.
It's fun. It's good. So good to finally meet you, like in real life.
Thank you.
After animating this car,
And
actually.
you did a smashing job, by the way.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. So, I actually wanted to ask, what was your inspiration for this livery?
Well, there is a Japanese team, the Gauzy team, and they raced 935s in the 70s and 80s in Group 5. And, you know, it was kind of near and dear to me because they were a Japanese team that really modified and raced Porsches. Well, I love Porsches myself. I honed my skills growing up in college, and after that, in Japanese imports as well, in road racing and drag racing them. And I felt that it was very befitting that I have my tentacles in both the JDM and German team, that I should really pay homage to a team that did something very similar. So instead of white and the pink, I went with a slate gray factory Porsche color and more of a fuchsia color, and just to give them a nod, to pay tribute to them for what they've done, because I can relate.
What about like the body?
Yes. So, well, we had the opportunity, and this is very, very rare, and I'm very lucky to have this, to source original Kremer body panels. So this is not a standard replica that you may see with some of the 935s. This is pulled from original Kremer molds. So my friends from DreamWorks, they were able to graft that beautiful Kremer body to a chassis from a 1984 SC. So instead of being a partial tube chassis like the road race cars were back in the 70s and 80s, this is more of a combination of unibody and full race, and hence the result.
And you obviously must get this question a lot. Why? Like, who in the right mind would like put an EV in a Porsche?
That's a great question. You know, I have been a diehard petrol head for as far back as I can remember. As a matter of fact, if we had this conversation, let's say 4 years ago, I'd tell you you're crazy. I have no interest in EVs whatsoever. But noticing my partners from American Honda, from Hyundai, from from Porsche going to electrification, being that I'm at the helm of Bisimoto Engineering and wanting to remain relevant in the
All right, we're
industry,
getting back up here a little bit of direction. We're going to do another run for the
to
run all night.
I had the opportunity to get my feet wet to electrification, knowing that all my OEM partners are going that way, and if I want to remain in the industry, I need to figure this out and understand it. And had no interest in really falling in love with it. I thought it would just be something I would do, and it would just probably just be okay. I'm putting around, but when I finished this, the first time I drove it, I almost urinated on myself. It was the most amazing experience because I love performance. I'm an engineer, yes, but I'm an enthusiast first.
All right, now we're going to go up with the Cobra.
It was just absolutely amazing.
1400
Yeah. Okay. Well,
horsepower.
I know that you got to be somewhere, and so let's just wrap it up. It's such a
It's a
pleasure
pleasure
meeting
again.
you.
Thank you so much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
The best is yet to come.
That was
Thank you, sir.
unbelievable.